Welcome to the DevOps Foundation, Module 5. We're going to talk about cultures, behaviors, and operating models. What is culture? The late, great Peter Drucker is famous for saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast, which fundamentally just emphasizes the importance of culture over other strategic concerns. Even if you have the best strategy, if you don't have the right culture, things will not work very well. And that's certainly true for DevOps as well and DevOps transformations. What is organization culture? Lloyd Taylor from LinkedIn says you can't directly change culture, but you can change behavior, and behavior becomes culture. So that's an important point. That'll come up on the quiz, by the way. The values and behaviors that contribute to the unique social and psychological environment of an organization are really the culture. In other words, the culture is sort of ingrained in the organization. It might not even be, per se visible. It's just the way the organization makes assumptions and behaves, and that's difficult to change directly. But by influencing the behavior, then the organization will settle on cultural behaviors and cultural assumptions and norms. Dharma Shah, founder of HubSpot, says culture debt occurs when culture considerations are disregarded and deferred in favor of growth and innovation. This effective interest rate on culture debt is usually higher than on technical debt, meaning that if you ignore cultural concerns, they tend to accumulate and overshadow other improvements. IT's silo culture and other organization challenges are a direct result of disregarding cultural considerations in favor of rapid increases in technology. The due date is today. So I certainly have experienced this myself many times when I've been introduced to a new organization in different roles over my career. And the first thing I try to assess is the culture, because again, you can have the best technology, the best tools, and if the culture is not behind it, your strategies, then it's really not going to work. And that needs to get the highest level of attention. So what are some of the characteristics that define what good DevOps culture looks like? This is a pretty good list that explains that: shared vision and goals and incentives. So people are incentivized to work towards an overall vision that's usually set by the senior leadership. In the case of a DevOps transformation, making it clear what the goals and vision are for the DevOps transformation. Maybe it's having to do with accelerating lead times and quality and so on. Having open, honest, and two-way communication is a key part of it. No one knows everything. You need to have a team that collaborates. Pride of ownership. People that are proud of their work are more likely to produce good results. The word I think is the most important of all is respect, but that's true not only for DevOps in general. Being respectful towards each other and your peers and your company and yourself. That can underscore the ability to generate trust. So being trustful for each other, trying to help other people do their work when needed as well. Be transparent, show what you're doing. Don't hide, problems. Work in the context of continuous improvement, always looking to improve. There's no such thing as, a final state for DevOps. You're constantly trying to kind of along the lines of the third way of DevOps, continuously improve, because things aren't going to stand still. There's always going to be new technologies and new things to learn. Experimentation is part of that. Deliberately exercise experiments and look for ways to improve. Quite often you don't know how things are going to work out. You have an idea. So try it, set up a hypothesis, test it, see how it works. If it works, then start doing it and practice it. Intelligent risk-taking. So there's always going to be some risk. Even standing still has an element of risk. If you don't make improvements, then you're going to fall behind, and that also has risk. Learning and practicing. If you don't practice, you won't. Any new improvements won't become part of your practice. Focus on data. Make decisions based on evidence. In other words, operate in a safe mode. Allow people to make mistakes without being fearful of criticism. Focus on reflection. When you do something, try to look back and say, what did you learn? Both good and bad. And for the things that are challenging, how can you learn to avoid those problems in the future? And finally, but not least, is recognition. Be open to giving recognition just as much as receiving it. So if you shift from older style of culture to a DevOps type of culture, some of the kind of characteristics that are not really consistent with DevOps culture would be more of a siloed focus within IT without looking across the aisle to other organizations and outside the scope of your organization. So silos, command and control instead of collaborative type of work, task oriented instead of goal or outcome oriented, a lot of blame going on, overly reactive, too focused on just internal content, resistant to change, low trust. So those are the things that you want to change towards being more customer focused, working as cross-functional teams across dev and ops and QA and security teams and others. Be collaborative, more outcome oriented, take responsibility, be proactive. Courage is an important word. You might wonder how that fits in, but change does require courage. A lot of the times there are going to be a lot of people that say, hey, we don't do it that way. You're going to be challenging the existing norms and the culture sometimes. That takes courage. Being flexible, work in the context of trust, high trust, expect to be trusted, and make that warranted by your actions and make things transparent. Bottom line is real culture change does take time. It's incremental and is performed at a realistic pace. You can't just suddenly change culture overnight. It has to evolve along with the changes in behavior. Yet another way of depicting this idea of high trust versus low trust. High trust encourages working at an accelerated pace and a lower cost. It tends to happen when you have high trust. It's less wasted time worrying about things, whereas low trust, things tend to slow down. A lot of cover-ups and not working openly, and the costs tend to go up because of the delays.